Hi, everyone. I'm going to tell you a story about when I was in high school myself, which was in the 90s. I was a high school sophomore in 1998, and then my favorite class was English class. Yes, I'm an English teacher. Okay, fine. So I'd always loved reading and writing. That's true. But what I've come to know is that our favorite classes are the ones that are led by our favorite people. And my teacher sophomore year was Mrs. Schmidt. Among the many things I credit this woman for, she introduced me to Shakespeare. I mean, I'd had to read Shakespeare before, but she introduced me to the real Shakespeare. Dirty, weird, bloody, raw, and she believed in bringing it to life. So she took us in our class to a production of As You Like It in New York City. And it was directed by her own daughter, Erica Schmidt, who had just graduated from Vassar, and all her friends were in the production, and it was very cool. In fact, 23 years later, I would name my own daughter Rosalind after the heroine of that play. So I think it's fair to say it left an impression. One day, Mrs. Schmidt arranged a field trip to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I should have gone, but I declined because, well, I don't know if I should tell you, but there was this college guy that would come to sub sometimes, and I thought he was very cute. And he wasn't even the sub that day, though. It was some old lady, and the 3 or 4 of us who hung back, we were given an assignment on a Van Gogh painting, and I didn't know thing one about art history, how to analyze paintings, what to say about wheat field with crows. So feeling lost and confused and not particularly invested in this assignment, I Googled it. Actually, Google wasn't really a thing. I looked it up on Yahoo. Okay? So I looked it up on Yahoo, and I found a web page that discussed many Van Gogh paintings in detail. And I found one, I still remember this line about wheat field with crows. The vibrant strokes of color meet a darkening horizon punctuated by crows, evoking the ambivalence of nature. I was like, that sounds good. So, copy, paste, and that's what I turned in. I'd like to tell you that I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I didn't really give it much thought, to be honest, until a week later. Mrs. Schmidt was standing in front of our class, and she had these very big, round blue eyes, and they were filling with tears. As she said, there was extensive plagiarism done on this assignment. She was so disappointed. She didn't call any of us out by name. She just said, just redo the assignment. I'll give you partial credit, and she just moved on with class. But I felt terrible. So afterward, I went up to her and I said, I'm so sorry. I'm going to redo it. And she goes, Candi, you could take a 0 on this and still get an A in the class. She was a very practical teacher. And I said, no, I insist, And I redid it. And I don't know what I turned in, guys. I don't know how much credit I got back. I still don't know anything about Vincent van Gogh. But I will say that I knew that this is how I was going to make amends to her. Because what I had endangered with my dishonesty was this working relationship with this person I admired, this fellow lover of the arts, and this teacher who meant something to me as a person. So anyway, I moved on in high school. We stayed in touch, which in a high school as big as the one I went to kind of means something, but as happens when you go to college and you have a job and, living on your own, we lost touch. In 2010, though, I decided to become an English teacher, and I wanted to tell her how inspirational she had been to me. So I Googled her. So Google by now solidly a thing. It's 2010. But her name is Anne Schmidt, which is kind of common, and it's not like she had social media, so I couldn't find her. But I remembered her daughter, Erica Schmidt. And when I Googled her, I saw that she's still a successful director, and she's married to Peter Dinklage. Do you know who this is? He's an actor, right? He played Tyrion Lannister on Game of Thrones. That's what I do. I drink and I know things. That's his line. Which is it's cool, but I'm just like, That still doesn't get me any closer to Ann Schmidt. But one day, I'm on the Lower East Side, volunteering at the Lower East Side Girls Club, and who do I see standing outside the hot new downtown brunch place? It's Peter Dinklage. And so I muster up the courage to go up to him and I go, I know this is going to sound weird, but are you Ann Schmidt's son-in-law? And we got to talking, and by the end of a very nice conversation, he's holding up a slip of paper to me with my favorite high school teacher's cell phone number on it, and he goes, if she doesn't call you back, it's because she doesn't know how to use her phone. But she did call me back, and we had a little reunion in Brooklyn, and from then on, anytime she came to town to visit her daughter, I would get to see her too. Yeah, it was sweet. And I told her that I modeled my teaching after hers, leading with love, right? Love for literature and writing, but also for my students as individuals, and love for a good conversation in the sacred space of the classroom. And when I became a mother, I also modeled my mothering after hers. My kids have so many books that Mrs. Schmidt has sent them in the mail. And if my Rosalind ever directs a play, I'm going to make you all see it, okay? She's 4, though, so. So hear this. Life is long. People come in and out of your life and back again in new ways. But imagine if I hadn't rewritten that Van Gogh assignment. Yeah, maybe I still would have gotten an A in the class. But would I have gotten an email from her after I sent her a draft of this very speech saying, I don't know how to end it? And she said she was so touched, and it was filled with exclamation points. And then she said, I know about the overuse of exclamation points, but sometimes they are called for. English teachers, okay. This is a 27-year relationship now. And what I know about abiding relationships is not that we never disappoint each other, but that when we do the work to set it right. Because what we're teaching here, what we're learning here, it's not really the Shakespeare stuff. I mean, I love the guy, but come on. It's about how to be a better human being with and through each other. Thank you.